Hello and welcome back to lesson number 3 in this introductory course on the work that I'm doing here, which is to do with futurology, incorporating the language of letters and the language of numbers. Here, where did the letters come from and why? I want to go over just as a couple of examples here to show you that each letter of the alphabet literally has a cause, a beginning, something that created it for what its reference is. It's like a picture turned into shorthand. And here I'll give you an example. Aleph, the word Aleph represents the ox, like a big cow with balls on his, horns on his head, but it's an ox. Now, that was the symbol of the ox in the hieroglyphs in Egypt. So we have the ox's head and the yoke across its shoulder, where it would be attached to like a plough or to a cart that would carry heavy goods, or it would even plough the field. So it was a very fast changing symbol. It meant the ox represented a quick change in the environment or the conditions. So Aleph or ox, that was its symbol. Now the Phoenicians and the Romans swung it over a bit more and made it more just literally horizontal like this than opposed to its diagonal. And the modern design with the way in which we use it today is like that, but it literally is represented by that from time immemorial. If we then looked at some of these letters here and other aspects, if that means a rapid change in the environment or the alphabet, this comes up when we do time framing, which is later in the courses, where we can actually find out what happens in a person's life or a series of events depending on what letter is put into what term inside a string of numbers or string of letters even that identify something, because numbers and letters are interchangeable based on old ancient texts. So here we've got letter P. Now letter P just happens to be the 16th letter of the alphabet. Letter R is the 18th letter of the alphabet. The difference between these two, apart from their obvious numerical position or equivalent, is that the P does not have the forward placed stick in front of it, whereas the R does. Now the idea behind this is that both of these here have knowledge. The pole with the circle on the top represents knowledge and understanding, where it's kept up high. It's high knowledge. But the letter P seems to have top heaviness when you look at it, and always will fall down on its nose throughout its younger life. Now, like anything, the more mistakes you make in life, the more you learn. Well, hopefully that's how it works. So the letter P therefore learns, and the reference to the number 7 in an earlier script, I think it was number 1, we're talking about the meaning behind the number. Well, the number 7 means wisdom. So the letter P continually falls over and grows stronger from life experience. The number 9 represented all-knowing, like a holistic view of the world, and so therefore anyone that has the letter R in their name, especially the first letter, P as in Peter, but the first letter like in Raymond or Roger, Robert, Raywin, the letter R represents knowledge on a stick, but it's got a reinforcing rod out the front, which means I don't fall over as easy. So this one learns by experience, this one just seems to have a knowing. And so therefore each letter has a story behind it, no different than the A. And when you understand this and put it in a string, such as Peter, I was given this name after, I was named after a movie, A Man Called Peter, 1955, which was about a man who grew up, from a child I should say, grew up and became a priest. He worked for the American presidency in the end and had a massive following of people behind him as he taught what he enjoyed teaching, which was his version and understanding of biblical material. So my mum saw it, fell in love with the movie and said, oh, I'm going to call him Peter if I have a son, and sure enough I got the name. So in the name Peter then, up the front, all Peters and Pauls and Paulas and Philips, all those P letters always have a hard lesson at the beginning of their life. They learn things very, very hard, literally through experience. And as we got an ending here, it says, but I've gained experience by the end of my name. So luckily, I pick it up by falling over, and then I'm staying strong at the end. So I've gained a lot of knowledge, and once I've got it really well. the middle of a name, the ETE, these letters are all in sequence in this order, so we're going in this direction. So when we're talking about Peter, we're talking about the letter P, which means knowledge. E is the value of 5. 9 and 7. So as we look at each of these in particular, I think I've got that right. Yes, I have. Sometimes I get mixed up which way things are around because I'm looking at it upside down here. When you're looking at these particular letters and numbers, here we say we learn from wisdom, then we teach what we've learned. Then I try to make balance. 2 means to be balanced, to be detailed, to pay attention to things, the smaller values. And once I've got that right, I then can speak about that or teach it again, which is what the E does. It teaches information forward. And then at the end of it, I have a full understanding of what it represents. Interesting that when you add up the name Peter, it comes to 28. Now 2 plus 8 equals 10. And 1 plus 0 equals 1. And as you would have learned in the earlier quick lessons here, 1 means to lead. Again, it's leading as it comes up the scale here. It means to lead, but the 0 says with thought. And then the 2 and the 8, which comes back down to what that represents when you add it up. 2 is detail and 8 is authority. So I can pick up on the finer points, and once I have learned it through my P, I'm strong with it. So I have a strong belief once I have understood something fully. But it takes a while for a Peter to learn it. But the older they get, the smarter they get, because they've learned a lot and they store that knowledge up on their stick. And in many ways, that might be the way that the letter P starts off and falls over, but later in life they just seem to balance themselves so that your centre of gravity, like that, means they're balanced knowledge on a stick. I hope you've enjoyed that. Each letter has a point of origin, and therefore its shape represents what the letter is. And in this case here, we worked with Peter, knowledge on a stick, rounded off understanding the full content of what I've learned as I've gone through it, and my journey is in the middle. So, hope you enjoyed that little lesson. We're going to do lesson number 4 shortly, and I hope you'll hang around to have a look at that one. Thank you.